Hello, I'm Will, and I'm going to run through my UFC 310 predictions. I feel like this is going to be quite a rubbish episode, but I need to start somewhere, and I feel like I just need to post this so I convince myself to do it. I've wanted to do this for ages, but it feels stupid because who am I to talk about MMA? I've got no authority. I've got a blue belt in judo, but I mean, I have no real MMA background, so who wants to hear a random kid talk about MMA? But I think what I've realized in the past few months, years even, is that it's more about consistency. And maybe if I'm the least bit entertaining, then potentially one day there's a prospect of, in some capacity, working in MMA as a journalist or something. That sounds ridiculous. But that is the motivation I'm doing. Because this is something I do anyway. But I'm going to run through these picks also because I feel like it's a record of when I get these all right. Um, Apologies for the setup. I don't even know if this mic's working. This is a mic I use for my PT qualification. And I feel real uncomfortable talking to a camera with no one else in my flat. Nonetheless, I'm going to do this, hold myself accountable. And I think once I've done, say, 20 of these, then I'll feel far more comfortable. And yeah, hopefully I can, maybe I'll buy a mic or whatever. But we're looking for 5 views on this one, and I will watch it 5 times to make sure that happens if no one else watches it. So we get kicked off with Kennedy and Nzechukwu. I don't know if that's the right way to say his name, but versus Bretsky. I know nothing about this Luque Bretsky guy, which is great. Solid research from me. But I really like Kennedy. I think he's really lengthy. And he's obviously been at light heavyweight. But I feel like at heavyweight, I don't want to be a guy that tails off other people's predictions, but the MMA guru, that bloke, said, and I agree with this, he said that it's weird because Kennedy was not really a force to be reckoned with at light heavyweight, but at heavyweight, it will take someone in the top 10 to stop him. And I agree with that. I think he's got an awkward style for heavyweight, and you don't usually see these long, lengthy, strike heavy heavyweights. That Roberto, the span, the Cuban taekwondo bloke, he was maybe the closest thing I could think of at heavyweight. I don't know if that's a ridiculous comparison. Anyway, I've got Kennedy by knockout. Mick Parker knocked out Bretsky. Now I know who Bretsky is. Yeah, I've got Kennedy by knockout in the first round. Clay Guida, Chase Hooper. I think I've got Chase Hooper. I thought about this for a while this week, but I just can't back a 42-year-old, even though I love Clay Guida. I can see it going the distance, so I'm going to go with a. Yeah, I'm going to go with Chase Hooper by submission. Seems like the right call. He might clip Clay Guida on the feet, but I'm unsure. Let me just check if Clay Guida's been finished recently. I'm pretty sure he was finished by. No, he was finished by Puelles. But I will say, Joachim Silva. I don't even know if that's how you say his name. I just know him as Neto. But to go to a decision with Neto at the age of 42, and this bloke's a strong Brazilian grappler, and Chase Hooper is not going to be as strong as Neto. I wonder if it just goes the distance. So yeah, let's say Chase Hooper by decision. Chiesa Griffin. I think this is really close. Chiesa's got some wobbly stand up, and Griffin's got some slightly dodgy grappling. Another thing I'd like to preface before I keep talking about this is I think it's mental. What I'm doing is mental because I have to pick faults in everyone's game because obviously that's the nature of picking a fight. When actually, it feels really stupid talking about professionals and they're dodgy here, they're dodgy here. Obviously, they're world class everywhere. But I want to get that out of the way because I'm not one to chat shit about professional fighters at all, like certain people that might do this. I won't slander people's names to get views, 5 views. 5 views coming up, maybe 10. I'm going to go with Chiesa by submission. Yeah, sorted. Cody Durden, Joshua Van. I'm going to go with the underdog, Cody Durden. Again, I've just for some reason rather, managed to not watch many flyweight scraps. I kind of switched off after Moreno won the belt because for me that was the pinnacle. I love Brandon Moreno, but and now we've got Lonnie Kavanagh at flyweight, which is super exciting. And so now I've started watching it again. And that fight against that Peruvian bloke wasn't an easy scrap for your first fight, and he looked really good. So now I'm back on flyweight. So actually, I'm going to look into this because this is important because you never know. You could see the English Lonnie Kavanagh coming up against Cody Durden. Cody Durden's coming off a submission win against Matt Schnell, and Joshua Van is coming off a win against Edgar Chiesa. Not a clue. The fight before he was knocked out. I'm going to go Cody Durden by knockout. I don't even know if he's got a good stand. I haven't seen it. Chris Weidman, Eric Anders. I've seen both of these guys fight God knows how many times. I'm a bit of a basic MMA fan. I think my first event was I started following at like 178 because of the embeddeds, and the embeddeds started getting really good then. But I think the first event I watched live through was 189. But Weidman at 205, I've never seen Weidman in his prime. I've watched him get banged out by Rockhold, and then Weidman to beat Gastelum is unbelievable. I don't know why I'm doing a history lesson on Weidman. I have Weidman. I don't see how Eric Anders causes problems for Weidman other than just smothering him and maybe clipping him with something. But I think Weidman can out wrestle Anders, and I think he'll beat him on the feet as well, as long as his leg holds up. Randy Brown, Brian Battle. I'm gonna go Randy Brown. I have to go. Realistically, I think no. I'm gonna go Brian Battle. I just want Randy Brown to win because I think missing weight and not alerting your opponent when you know you're gonna miss weight is an intentional plan. It's just cheating. I know he forfeits a portion of his purse, but cheating. Evloev Sterling, Evloev. I don't know Movsar. Let's just call him Movsar. I want to make a road call here. Sterling by knockout. See, this is ridiculous because what I've done is I've started this video off saying, yeah, I can make really good predictions on these cards and I get predictions largely right. But now I'm looking at a camera with a little mic and I want to come out with ridiculous calls. But this is just for the record more than anything, just so I can remember what I picked for 310. Sterling by decision. I think it's going to be a decision either way. The best bet for this would just be bet for the fight to go to decision. Actually, I'll have a look at the odds for that. Fight to go the distance, 132. So more likely than not, it's going to go the distance. And I think Sterling could edge it. And he's a big underdog here too. I really like Sterling. Movsar is, yeah, he's just solid. And he's huge for 145. But Sterling looked big as well. I'm going to go Sterling by decision, which is a huge underdog pick. Luque versus Garimbo. I love Vicente Luque. Don't know too much about Garimbo. I watched his last fight against Price. And I think he may be unbeaten in the UFC. That might be a complete lie. I think he might have lost actually his first. Yeah, okay. So he lost his first fight against AJ Fletcher by guillotine. And Luque's actually got some sneaky ground game, obviously. He's Brazilian. And I think he's got some nice submission wins. He's got submission wins over Tyron Woodley, Chiesa, which is huge because we know how good of a grappler Chiesa is. Again, road call. Luque by submission. Smith Reyes. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to go Reyes. I think stylistically that it's a nice matchup for him. I just think he's more aggressive. I like Smith as a bloke, but I think he's sometimes hard to watch. Um, and he doesn't stall so much, but he's not scary. Nate Landwehr, Choi. I feel like I've started doing this, but simultaneously I've like fallen out of love with the details of MMA. I feel like I've fallen behind, but I'm doing this so I can make my pick, so I can remember what I picked because I've just started properly watching again. But I'm gonna go Doohoo Choi just because he's a legend and I love him. Bryce Mitchell, Kron Gracie. Uh, if anyone else watched the last Kron Gracie fight, obviously he's a legend. Family name. He's a Gracie. But his last fight against Charles Jourdain was interesting to watch. It almost looked like there was no stand up, and obviously he's got stand up. I'm going to go Bryce Mitchell, who's also a force to be reckoned with on the ground. So, yeah, Bryce Mitchell. Uh, and I think he'll be able to avoid some dodgy situations on the ground. Gane Volkov, love this fight. What a fight. I'm going to go Cyril Gane, probably by decision. But I wouldn't be surprised if he clips Volkov a couple times. Shavkat Garry is obviously this is the fight I'm most excited for. I'm gonna go with a Shavkat in the later rounds, I think. Um I think there's something about Garry just always getting it done. And he finds a way. He's well rounded. But I just think trying to think of examples of Shavkat just brutal. I mean, he's brutalized basically all of his opponents. But Jeff Neal, for example, pretty hard to pin down. You couldn't see Ian Garry pin him down. And he obviously brutalized Jeff Neal. Ian Garry. I'm going to go Ian Garry by decision. Ian Garry by decision. I can see him doing enough. He's a 4-1 underdog. That's insane. Uh, yeah, I'm going to go Ian Garry. I think he can just stay on the outside. I don't know if I think he can. But you got to make a prediction, hey? I think you will. Right. Ian Garry is my prediction. And then main event, Pantoja Asakura. Asakura is someone that I don't know a great deal about. I'd obviously heard about him before. So let's go with Asakura. Why not? I mean, no one's touched Pantoja, but again, it's not that I've fallen out of love with the flyweight division. I just haven't watched enough of it. But yeah, I mean, it is hard to bet against Pantoja. There's a list of wins: Moreno, Royval, Urseg in the last three. Yeah, I'm gonna go Asakura. Who again is a massive underdog. So there you go. Really not an insightful bunch of picks, and not a great deal of research has gone into that. I think more than anything, this is a box ticking exercise for me. I just need to get it out there. And yeah, thanks for watching. If anyone did watch, well, hopefully no one actually does watch these because I think they're quite embarrassing. Like the lack of research on that was embarrassing. But I think I'm doing this because the amount of cards that I actually do have so much to say about. When those cards do come about, I want to have posted a fair few videos. So then, if I buy a little mic, etc., I deserved it. I proved to myself that I can sit on a sofa and just talk to myself. Maybe I should get other people to do this with me and be like, hey, this is my friend. Just get random people to do it that don't necessarily know about MMA. In fact, actually, that's a brilliant idea. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know how many people would be, it doesn't matter, I'm going to ask, but how many people would be willing to just sit in front of a camera with me and talk? Especially knowing that it's going to go on YouTube. Well, I wonder if I was to do these for 10 years and I didn't miss a weekend, if eventually I'd get any sort of recognition and then I could just be a journalist and get paid for it. I'm dreaming here. But I think, yeah, this is more of a box ticking exercise than anything. This was so uninformative. But I'm going to list down all my picks. And we'll see how many I get right. Yes, that's my first video. I hope this mic worked. I don't know how long that took me. I think that was rapid. That might be less than 10 minutes. Anyway, I think I should make an outro. Feels a bit cringe. I'm going to come up with one. Like a really signature outro, like touch the camera, like, bye guys. Or like an explosion, like, actually, that's what I'm going to do. Thanks for watching. See you later.